Hi, I'm Laura Staley, and today I am going to do a video on how to enter data into Excel. Now, I've said before that I've been a software trainer for a lot of years and I've helped people figure out how to use Excel. And I am used to demoing it in a classroom. So this is a new thing for me, doing videos online to show you how to use Excel. And one of the things that I have to deal with is figuring out how to show you in a way that will make sense to you on your side of the screen. So I am trying to figure out how to make the screen big enough so that you can see. I have set up my mouse so that it may be a little more visible as I move it around the screen. And today I am trying to zoom into the area I'm going to be entering data in so that maybe you can read a little bit better what I'm doing. So follow along as you can. If you want to follow along and you are blessed enough to have two screens and you may want to have Excel off to the side while you're watching my video in front of you or vice versa, then you can do that. And of course, you can always pause a video, come back, watch it a couple times, do whatever you need to do to have it make sense. Also remember that down below, I am going to link a blog post that will go through a lot of this functionality so that if you want to just watch the video and then use the blog post later, you could do that as well. So you have options. So my hope is that this will make sense and that you will be able to see and that you will be inspired to create your own Excel spreadsheets because of it. Okay, let's get started. So on your screen, there is a blank Excel spreadsheet. Now it is bigger than the sheets that you will open up on your own screen. You will see more columns and rows on your own screen. But like I said, I've zoomed in so that you can see better. Now, before I get started, let me talk about a couple things. Number one, Excel is made up of columns and rows, and the intersection of those are cells. So, for example, the columns are A, B, C, D, E, and they go way off to the right. There are hundreds of columns. Now, you only have to deal with a number of columns and rows that you actually want to use. But Excel gives you a lot more capacity than you're going to actually use with your own spreadsheets. Now, the rows go down the left-hand side, one, and it goes to over 1,000,000 rows. And like I said, you're not going to use all those. So don't worry about the capacity. You're just going to use what you're going to use. The only time I've ever seen people max out an Excel spreadsheet is when I was training at NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health in the Washington, D.C. area. And I worked with scientists who did research, scientific research on different projects like curing AIDS and ending heart disease and all those types of things. And they would have massive, massive amounts of data, and they would max out their Excel spreadsheets. Other than them, I cannot imagine who else might possibly max out an Excel spreadsheet, especially of those people who are watching this video. So don't worry about the capacity. Just know you'll always have enough room for your data. So the intersection of a column and row is the column letter followed by the row number. So the first cell in the first row is A1. If you go over to the third cell in the third column, that's C3. If you go to the A cell in the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, seventh column, that is G8. So does that make sense? I hope so. So we're going to be using those later. But whenever you type data into Excel, you're going to type it into a cell, and that cell designation is where the data is that you type in. So let me give you an example. I am going to type in the word category, and that is in A1. Now, anytime you're entering in data, you are going to want to basically have a block of data that is sort of in a rectangle. And it may be small and it may be huge, but basically you're going for a rectangle shape. Now, to move off of A1, I have two choices. I can either hit Tab to go to the next column, or I can hit Enter to go down to the next row. And what you do will simply depend on which way you want to type. So sometimes people want to type in all the headings across, and so you'll hit Tab. Sometimes people want to type in all of the things in the first column first and then fill it in as I go, and then you'll hit Enter. Most of the time I hit Tab. Just because I like to go right and then down and then right and then down and so on. So I'm going to type category. Now you're going to see me looking down a lot, and that's because I'm looking down at the data that I'm typing in because I don't have it memorized, and looking to see where I am on my spreadsheet. It's just part of me doing what I need to do to type this in. So I'm going to type in category, hit my Tab key, type in the next heading, which is topic, hit Tab, type in views, hit Tab, type in days, hit Tab, type in updated, question mark. Updated, question mark. Okay, so those are my headings. And I'm typing in a list of blog posts and YouTube videos that I am posting. And then I'm going to have some data about them, like the name of them and how many views and how many days they've been up, those types of things. So I'm going to hit enter now. I am to the end, the last column that I want to type in this row. So I want to go back to the beginning of the next row. And to do that, I'm going to hit enter. It's on your keyboard. So then I'm going to type in blog post. And if I can type, hit tab, go to the topic, which is Excel, ribbon, and quick access. Now notice how long that is. It goes across multiple cells. So I'm going to hit tab, and then I'm going to type in the next column with the views, which are 3,228. And when I hit tab that time, it cuts off the topic. It says Excel Ribba. That's all I can see. I'm not going to worry about it for now, but I'm going to show you how to fix that in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to type in days. It's been up for 349 days. And updated, yes, I'm using the current version. Okay, so then now I hit enter, and the reason was because I stopped my typing to explain something to you and clicked on different cells, and so it only goes back to the last column I was clicked on. So in this case, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the row I want to type on, and I'm going to type in a YouTube video. I'm going to type in Excel. Now notice what happens. I start typing in Excel, and it says, hey, above it, somewhere in the same column, she typed in Excel ribbon and quick access. So I'm going to put that in there to see if that is what she wants, if she wants to duplicate that same text. And if the answer is yes, I just hit tab and it automatically fills it in for me. Now, there are various ways that Excel is going to try to help you to fill in your data. And some of them will be helpful and you'll use them, and others won't be and you'll ignore them. So in order to accept this, I hit tab again, and it goes to the next column. And I'm going to type in 1,000, no, actually same one, 3,228, and then 349, and then yes, hit enter, and I'm to the next row. So then I'm going to type in blog post, but I just type in B, and it says, oh, gee, she has blog post up above that, so it pops it in for me. So I'm just going to hit tab, and you'll notice I'm starting to pick up speed as I go. Now I'm going to type in Excel. It says, gee, she has Excel ribbon and quick access above that. I wonder if she wants to duplicate it. And the answer is no, I don't. So this time I'm going to type in Excel navigation. So I just continue typing and that text goes away. Hit tab and 45 and 199 and yes. And notice yes types up. So if you're a fast typist, you may just go ahead and type it in, or you can hit enter just to accept it. Okay, so YouTube video, it pops it in for me. Excel navigation. Now notice it will only duplicate once it's a unique text item. So I have Excel ribbon and then I have Excel navigation. So it only pops in the text when it becomes unique or matches a unique item, Excel navigation. So I have to type in Excel N and then hit tab. And 32, 197, and yes. Okay, and then blog post, entering data in Excel, and 264, 125, and yes. Okay, and then YouTube video, oops, entering data in Excel, 1844, 125, and yes. Okay, so you get the idea. So as you notice, I was picking up speed as I went along, as Excel was helping me by matching text items that were above it. And the easiest thing to do for me is to keep things, my hands on the keyboard, so that it's easy for me to type tab, type tab, type tab, and so on, hit enter, and then move on to the next row. If you want to click on a cell, you can always move where you are that way. But if you're in the groove on the keyboard, it goes much faster. So keep that in mind. So that is basically how you enter data into Excel. Now, there are a lot of things that you may want to do to make it look better, and a lot of those will be under the formatting video that I'm going to be doing. But there are a couple things that I'm going to show you how to do now. For example, in this column, column B, now notice when I click on the letter of the column, it highlights the whole column. And I will often want to do that to be able to act on everything in the column. And actually highlighting it doesn't do anything to it. It just chooses the text in that column. So just notice that most of the text in this column is cut off, as well as the category in column A. So one of the things that you can do is widen the column so that it will show. So I am going to come up between columns A and B. Now I am between the letters A and B. This does not happen if you are down in the text itself. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice starting now is how many different pointer options there are in Excel. And one of the things that you need to do is notice what your pointer looks like before you take an action so that you accomplish what you want to do. So for example, if I am wanting to click on a cell, notice the big fat white cross. Can you see that? Over 349 or over yes. That means that when I click, it's going to choose that cell. So I'm going to click, and now I've chosen E2. But I have to have that big fat white plus in order for that to happen. Now I can also choose multiple cells. So if I put my pointer over category, notice it's a big fat white plus, if you can see that, and I'm just going to click and drag either over to the right or down, and I'm going to highlight text. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to bold all of the words in the first column to make them stand out a little, I'm going to click on category, drag through updated, and now I'm going to come up to my ribbon and hit the bold button, and then that's going to bold all those words, and that just will make them look nicer and stand out a little bit visually. Okay, now I also need to widen that column. So if I put my pointer between A and B, I get a little black line with arrows going in both directions. It's that little black line with arrows going in either direction. And that's telling me if I click down and hold my mouse key down, I can drag to the left or I can drag to the right. And I can drag it until all my words are showing. Now, it can be kind of a pain to try to drag it exactly so that the column is exactly the right width. And one of the shortcuts Excel gives you is to put your pointer over that line, get the little black crosshair, and then double click with your mouse. When I do that, it automatically makes that column wide enough to show the widest text in the column. It's a nice shortcut. So remember, you can either single click and drag or click and drag holding your mouse key down, or you can double click and it will automatically make the column wide enough. Now, sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's not quite so good. So, for example, if I put my pointer between B and C and I want to make the topic wider, then if I double click, it will automatically make that wide enough. Now, sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes if I have a really wide column, then it may be too wide and I can wrap the text in the cells. And I will show you that in the formatting video. But know that there are options in terms of how you treat your text and how you format it so that you can make it readable and easy to see on the screen. Okay, now, the other thing I'm going to do is highlight column C and drag through D and E. And I can format these columns by centering the text in the columns. So notice that those are now centered in the columns underneath the headings. Okay, and I'm not going to do the same thing in the first two columns. Okay, now I'm going to undo that because there is one other thing I want to show you about entering data. Whenever you enter text, letters, the data in the cell is going to be left aligned. In other words, category is as far left in the column as it can get. Topic is as far left in the column as it can get. Views, days, updated, all those are left aligned. So are all of the text items underneath the headings. So now, because I have made those columns just wide enough for the column, you can't really tell they're left aligned in some of the cells, but they are. However, notice when I enter numbers, they are right aligned. Okay, so all of my views and days are right aligned underneath the column headings. And that is one quick way to know that you have entered numbers. And so as you're entering data, if something is wonky, for example, you enter 3228 and it's left aligned, then something is wrong because it's left aligned and it's not a number. So just, it's one quick check as you're typing things in to make sure that things are okay. So I'm just going to type it in as a number and we're good. Okay. However, I like these things being centered in the columns because I think they look better. So I'm going to center them again. Okay. That's it. That's an example of how to enter data and make it look a little bit better so that you can see things on the screen and be able to view what you've entered. So the next video I'm going to do is going to be on how to format the data and set it up so that it's legible. Actually, the next video is going to be on how to set up your data so that it makes sense and that Excel can manipulate the data for you. There's more to it than you would think. And there's a number of things to cover. So I'm going to make that a separate video. And we're going to talk about all the considerations about how to put in your data and how to group it and the different things that you need to know in order to make it work for you. So tune in the next time and good luck entering your data in the meantime.